Ever notice how ads always pop up at the worst moments? When the killer's identity is about to be revealed. During that perfect meditation flow. On Amazon Music, we believe in keeping you in the moment. That's why we've got millions of ad-free podcast episodes, so you can stay completely immersed in every story, every reveal, every breath. Download the Amazon Music app and start listening to your favorite podcasts ad-free, included with Prime.
How can you take your freelance or consulting and grow it into a full-fledged business? Stay tuned to find out.
Welcome. Okay, here's the question. Serious? How are we dark horses? You know, the ones everyone is betting against, the ones they don't expect to win, place, or even show on the track, and they'll even laugh on us when we talk about trying. How do we show the world our greatness and triumph? Come on. Well, that's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. This is The Dark Horse Entrepreneur. My name is Tracy Brinkman. And push it out.
What is up, my Dark Horse friends and family? Welcome back to your weekly dose of being 100% you learning. I'm your Dark Horse host, Tracy Brinkman, and you, well, that's infinitely more important. You are a driven entrepreneur or one in the making. Either way, you're here because you're ready to start, restart, kickstart, or just start leveling up with some great marketing, personal, or business results in order to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. We got another big episode for you. Today, Rudzinski shares the pitfalls of working in versus on your business, testing and leveraging tools to empower your team, and the benefits of being 100% yourself in business and life. Plus, I'm going to let you in on next week's interview guest, who has gone from 5 years in prison to rubbing elbows with some of America's most elite entrepreneurs. Now, I know you want to keep getting these valuable tips and inspirational stories from this podcast and all the amazing guests I've been lucky enough to have on. So please, go on down there, hit that subscribe button, and while you're there, drop us a 5-star rating, leave us some kind words in the review, and of course, don't keep all this entrepreneurial GOLD all to yourself. Share the podcast with other entrepreneurs and business owners that you know will get value from it. And you know, the subscribes, ratings, and reviews, they help tell all the podcast platform algorithms to show this podcast to more like-minded entrepreneurs so that we can help our fellow dark horses start, restart, and kickstart their journey. And as per usual, the Dark Horse corrals are chock full of personal, business, and marketing GOLD spilling from every corner of the Dark Horse Entrepreneur HQ. So let's get to the starting gates and go. All right, my Dark Horse friends and family, today's guest is Rudzinski. Now, Rich is the sole founder of Tragic Media, a technology and software consulting firm based in Southern California, actually down in San Diego. I was just sharing with him how I remember my days out there in Southern California. Now, Rich has grown Tragic from the ground up of a successful freelance consulting career. His responsibilities evolved from being the lead developer of the company to leading their technology strategy as well as their business development. Rich has an incredible team of talented remote US-based professionals, and Rich's team works collaboratively to build industry-leading digital products using today's leading frameworks and technologies. Rich has presented at numerous Drupal camps, spoken at San Diego Startup Week, gives quarterly tech talks for the San Diego American Marketing Association, is currently nominated for San Diego's Top Tech Awards. And as we all know, there's always lots more to the story underneath the story and these accolades, but I don't want to steal any of Rich's thunder on that. Rich, welcome to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur.
Tracy, thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here.
I'm excited to chat with you, man. And I'm sure there's some goodies to be shared, but I'm going to shut up for a few minutes and just step back from the mic and let you share your story. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly, the road traveled to get you to where you are today, and why you love doing what you do so much.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. I mean, you gave me a hell of an intro there, and that was super great. Just to give you a little background on, you know, what led me to start my company and kind of pursue this entrepreneurial road that I've been on. I've always been kind of an entrepreneur, even from like, early days, selling candy in the playground and just like, little fun things like that. And when I got to college, I went to UCSD, and I was originally on a computer engineering track. And I found this really cool major that they had there that was focused on new innovative technologies. I was able to kind of pick and choose the classes that I wanted to do. And so I was able to pursue both my passion for music and my passion for the latest innovative, web technologies. And that really, got me started in this. Originally out of college, I did pursue the music. That was my passion. But after hitting some career kind of blockers there, I fell back on my digital background. I got a job at a leading digital agency down here in San Diego, really learned, cut my teeth there and learned the tools of the trade and how companies can work collaboratively to build and deploy enterprise software. After hitting a growth ceiling at that company. It was happened to line up right with the 2008 recession. And, anytime there's a recession, it's a time for great opportunity. And all entrepreneurs, especially like in the times we are now with this uncertainty, there's all sorts of great opportunities for consultants and entrepreneurs. So that's what really got me started. My consulting started taking off on the side. I quit my job and started going all in as a solopreneur, just investing as a consultant and working with a bunch of great agencies down here in San Diego and across the US. After doing that for a while, I started to build a reputation and realized like this is a whole company that I'm starting here, and hired several people to get us started. And then just have started to grow that. Along the way, we've made some pivots, had some ups and some downs. But right now, we work with businesses and entrepreneurs, especially on the non-technical side, teams that don't have big engineering departments, and they're looking for great design and development resources to help them, tackle whatever their challenges or build whatever ideas they have.
Nice. So for anyone that's listening, and I'll consider myself a geek, but as I cruise through your site and the things that I could see on the surface that you have done, I was like, oh my goodness, this guy's like super geek. This is amazing. So and when you say the things that you create, kind of enlighten us, share with us the kind of things that you and your team are creating for the businesses out there.
Yeah, technology has evolved so rapidly over the last, I've run this company now for, 11 years. And technology has evolved so quickly. So, originally we were starting with a lot of just really well-designed top level websites that we built with content management systems. For instance, we built the Pixar website, many years back, and we're able to work with their team to create a really great online presence for them. But as things have evolved, now there's a lot of easy tools to build websites. And so we've just kind of continued to grow and expand with the technologies. So now we build everything from cutting edge websites, people that are looking to really hit that next level of performance or design or interactivity. We build a lot of web applications, both for B2B, like internal business, or, consumer applications for people that are on the web trying to, have different, portals or online, management experiences. We build applications like phone applications. We do everything, cloud hosting, help people get set up on Google Cloud or on Amazon Web Services, and really just help companies and entrepreneurs just handle all of their technology so they can focus on the sales, the marketing, branding and building their business, and just know that they have a really great team to help support them with whatever their challenges are. Right now we're helping one of our clients, do a third-party logistics integration with their Shopify. So we're moving their warehouse to an outside vendor, and we're just helping to coordinate the technology around that and help them to enable their business to grow.
Nice. And just so you know, and I'm sure everyone caught this, Oh yeah, and we built the Pixar website, he said in passing, right? Pixar, that little company
that
that
little
creates
company.
all those
Might have heard of
amazing,
them.
you've
Right.
probably never heard of them, but if you've seen their movies, you'll
Yeah.
get it. No, obviously there's a level of humbleness in yourself just to say that such in passing, but certainly you're doing a wealth of things. I know anyone wants to see the kind of tech he's doing, obviously go check out the Pixar website, but definitely check out the Tragic Media site. We'll have the links in the show notes in there, but it's definitely I know as I was looking at your site doing a little research for our time together, it caught me off guard because it has this unique interface in how it reacts to where I am in the journey through your website. And it was completely unique. And I was like, okay, now I get it. This is kind of cool. So
Awesome.
Definitely 2 thumbs up there, but certainly
that's great. I appreciate that.
No, it was super cool. So I want to go check that out. So when you said cutting edge websites, I mean, you mean that, definitely cutting edge websites in your journey. I think there's a cool story to be shared here. There's certainly, and I think you said something in there that I wanted to drill back into. There's been ups and downs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so many of us in life, let alone in business, can learn from other people's stumbles, bumbles, face plants, whatever you want to call them, right?
Yeah.
What failure have you had that you're like, oh my God, I'm almost glad I had that failure because here's what I'd learned.
Yeah. I think especially today with social media being what it is, it's so easy to think that everybody just has this easy path and they're, making millions and achieving these dreams, all with, in passing easily. It's a struggle. It's a challenge to grow any business, whether that's just your personal brand or growing, a company. There's a lot of resources out there, but it also depends on how you use them and what's available to you. So some people's struggles are different and just as valid as everybody else's. But I don't think it's ever really an easy path for anybody. Over the years, I went from a solopreneur where I was doing all of the work and just engaging to fill my schedule to growing a company, which I had some background in from school, and I had some background in from experiencing, how an agency works, but definitely didn't have, other partners. I didn't have mentors. I just kind of took the bull by the horn and ran with it. And with that, there's a lot of struggles and just kind of figuring out what works, how to approach our sales, marketing, just learning a lot in other areas that I wasn't familiar with. I could do the developing when it comes to business development. That was something that I had to, kind of learn. And then one of the other really big transitions that happened was me really taking a big step away from like the internal workings of the development, bringing on another resource to manage that and moving back to, working on the business more. And with that kind of happened because of a really big stumble where I was too far in the business. And because of that, we had a really big gap in sales and ended up causing a lot of financial stress for us, had to let some people go and everything. And in that, I realized, okay, I can't be managing individual projects. Like I really need to take a huge step back and get other team members in there. And it ended up being a really great thing because I was able to bring on some really, really sharp, talented individuals that are now, part of our growing team, help to manage and run the teams, run the projects and manage our developers and everything. As you mentioned, we have a US based team all across the US. And so even before COVID, there was challenges in how do you manage a remote team like that when people aren't all in the office? How do you collaborate successfully as a team? So that was some of our, different struggles that we overcame. But at this point, we have a really great team on board. And I think without some of those struggles, I probably wouldn't have gotten in touch with those individuals, gotten them hired on. Blessings in disguise, if you will.
Absolutely. And there's always definitely learnings in that. And I know a number of the entrepreneurs that have made it to levels like yours and beyond. That seems to be a story that's heard time and again, where I got to a point where I had to stop working in the business so that I could work on the business. And
absolutely,
I can only imagine it's got to be a super tough level to get at. You're like, but I'm so good at this. It's your baby. You birthed it, you grew it, and now you've got to. It's like I'm a parent, so I'm going to liken it to being a parent, where you're like, okay, fly, be free.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's definitely challenging, especially, depending on your personality and type and stuff. You might want to be really involved in it. For me, this was built off of my personal reputation as a solopreneur. So I have, a lot of skin in the game when it comes to like our individual projects, making sure things run smoothly, that we're delivering, above and beyond for our clients. And so I think, there's definitely some challenges in that handoff, but it's all about finding great individuals and empowering them to be successful, and knowing that things aren't necessarily going to work the same, or the outcome's not going to be necessarily the same as, if I was involved or if I managed it, but that doesn't mean it's just as good, if not better. And just being open to letting other people, run things the way they need to run things to be successful.
Absolutely. Now, I want to loop in a little bit here, because you do have the unique aspect of your business where you have a number of remote folks, and I'm not sure if they're all remote, but definitely that's
now they are.
Now they are. Well, yeah, absolutely. That has to come with a certain amount of I don't know, coordination efforts, to keep everyone on the same page. Chat a little bit about how you've keeping everyone, I guess, aligned in their mission in all these projects you're working on.
Yeah, definitely. We also have an extra layer of it, because we also allow for flexible schedules. So
nice.
People can take some breaks. They can work late, they can work early, depending on what they are, and having people in other time zones, you kind of have to allow that. Otherwise you're forcing everybody, to work Pacific time, and they're up, super late. So I think some of that's been trial by error. Some of it's also been growth of different software. Obviously, now we're all in a very virtual meeting environment, but we had to, figure out what worked best for us. So we've evolved, through different platforms as they become available. Sometimes we're jumping, off, originally we were on like Google Chat, and now we're on Slack, leveraging these, new software tools to ensure that we have better collaboration and communication between our teams. And then a lot of it's about just personal accountability and hiring great people and making sure that they understand that they're accountable for their responsibility, but then they're also empowered to do their job. So if they need to schedule a meeting to make sure that they're clear on their work, then schedule a meeting and get that done, meet with other developers, meet with other team members. Let's make sure that, ultimately we want people that are passionate about building great web products, great applications, and that are excited to be part of a fun company that, really has low administrative overhead and really empowers individuals just to do great work.
What can you add to that? I think it's super cool learning that, well, maybe not learning, but certainly a good opportunity that's going to come out of this whole unfortunate COVID-19 scenario is people have been thrust into these virtual environments, right? I know a number of folks that I've worked with in the past and are working with now are like, this is kind of cool, and some of these corporations have folks now that are working from home that, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, they're like, no, you can't work from home. You can't do that. You wouldn't be productive. And they're finding, that it's working amazingly. So maybe some of these, 87-story buildings will, unfortunately go empty, but maybe they'll stop building so many of them in some of these high-rise areas, right?
I think there's a lot of challenges on both sides.
You're now listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
I worked as a solopreneur out of my living room for a long time, and you can get caught up in just work and not have that separation of work life is hard. So making sure you have a separate office space and making sure that you can work and you understand where your hours are and when you're not off, you're able to check out, effectively, is I think something that a lot of people are struggling with. I think there are some people that really like that office experience, and this is very challenging for them. And then I think there's a lot of people that have been waiting for this, like you're saying, they've been asking for it, not being, and now they're kind of thrust into it, and they're being empowered because now they're able to spend more time with their families. They're not lost a bunch of time in commutes. I think there are a lot of really big positives from it. On the work side, I think there's, as an employer, there's other challenges. I've had team members that I found out, weren't doing their work and were, collecting paychecks and kind of faking their way through it, during some of our growth, where we didn't have as much oversight on it. I also know a friend of mine that was, had like screen capture software that their employer had installed, and it was like way overkill, and that's why he ended up leaving that company, is because he just didn't want that level of oversight onto everything. So finding a good balance between like making sure that your employees are working and they're getting their jobs done, but then making sure that also that you're not being overly overly oversight on that, and that they do have the flexibility to just do their jobs the way they need to do their jobs.
No, absolutely. I think you said it spot on. Nailed that. You said it spot on. Hit the nail on the head. I was trying to say, I tried to jam those two phrases together
right.
And it didn't work out right. But certainly you definitely, especially as an employer, you have a responsibility to those clients that you're serving to get, your products out there in a timely and profitable fashion.
Yes.
And you got to get folks to do that. So it's, you're right. It's that balance between looking over their shoulder occasionally versus micromanaging, right?
Exactly. You got it.
But I think you also nailed it on the head when you said it's about finding the right people that would thrive in an environment like that. And to your point, there are those folks that they feel they're better suited. Maybe they are, for whatever it is about their personality or their work style. They're better suited for in-office work, right? But then there's those folks that are like digital nomads. You're like, I can sit in my living room and I can do this. But you're right. I can remember when I got out of the military. I'm going to date myself now. This would have been the late 80s, and I came out of the military into Southern California, and I started my own little computer consulting business, and I was doing programming for PPOs, preferred provider organizations.
Yeah.
And and I was doing database programming for them. So these folks, they were working from, literally their call centers were working from folders that had all the doctors' names. You'd call them up and they'd say, "Hey, I'm looking for a doctor in Huntington Beach that does yada yada yada," and they're flipping through these books. Or one client that I had actually had index cards, 3x5 index cards with all the doctor's information, one set for each call person they had, and they had like 9 calls. So can you imagine trying to keep that up? So so I was in there going and taking all of that data, programming it into a database and creating the searches and yada yada yada. And I was like, oh, this is when I landed this particular client, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is going to be great, right? And I took, oh gosh, I bought myself, this would have been the top of the line computer. It was like it was an HP. It was one of those clones, but it had it was 32 or 64 megabytes of RAM. And this was whiz gig back then, right?
Yes.
And literally I would go into the office, and I saved all the packaging. I'd pack it up at the end of the week, and I would take it home, and I would set it up at my home, and I start working. And you're right. I got into that habit of, I was almost working 24/7 at the time. And it was really cutting into, my family life. My friends are like, dude, sure, you're making some money, but come on, you're what are you doing with we never see you. And, so it's about that balance. You can get sucked into either side,
Yeah.
Now, because no one else can see you, they have no ability to share, the visual, of you. And for me, I thought it was awesome. And I'm like, I saw your media kit, and I'm like, I have to talk to this guy because, oh my God, he has some of the coolest tattoos. And then you have some body mods, and you have, what is it across your knuckles? 133T geek or something like that?
Yep. Elite geek.
Elite geek. That's what it is. I was like, okay, what does that stand for? This guy is a dark horse all out there on his
100%.
own. 100%. So as you've navigated, all the way through, your scholastic career to your music career, and obviously I think in your music career, your appearance was irrelevant. It probably actually was a benefit to you. But as you started transitioning into your freelance, to your business career, have you ever felt like that dark horse, and how did you fight against that to succeed?
Yeah, well, anybody can, come follow me on Instagram, Tragic Rich, and they can check out all my mods for themselves. You would actually be surprised. My appearance was maybe more of a hindrance in the music industry than it was in the digital, because in the music industry, it limited me from doing any corporate sound gigs. I had to do live sound. I had to do recording sound, but I couldn't take those corporate gigs because I mean, my bright red hair does not blend into the backgrounds very well. You can't have any piercings or tattoos, and you have to be able to cover that all up. And I cannot. So, you know, that was limiting, but, you know, it was a decision that I made, and I understood when I made it, you know, the impacts that this would have on my career, and that I might have to work, you know, twice as hard to prove, you know, how smart and capable I am, because people might have preconceived notions about me. There's definitely been some time in my digital career, both at the agency and, you know, in my, not so much in my solopreneur, because that was mostly working within my network. A lot of that was, you know, referrals and everything that happened. But as I've grown my business, there's definitely been, you know, some rooms that you walk into or some client meetings where you just know, like, we're not going to get this just right off the bat. But we'll go through the song and dance anyway. You know, but on the other side of that, like, I am 100% myself all of the time. People can either accept that or not accept that. And I think that is something that people really find a breath of fresh air, especially in these really corporate environments when we do work with these bigger companies. And then also with the entrepreneurs, they feel like, you know, they got a team that's not a bunch of, you know, stuffy, you know, shirt and tie people that are overcharging them or don't understand their struggle. You know, I'm a real person. I built this, and they can see that obviously, you know, I am who I am. I think that it also falls through with our brand. You know, we're bold and unapologetically ourselves at Tragic, and you know, my personal brand and my personal style just kind of falls in line with the brand style that I've built for my company.
No, that's perfect. And it's funny. And hopefully you'll listen to more than just your episode of this podcast. That is one of the things I continue to preach to anyone that is willing to listen, and probably a few people that don't want to listen, is to really just be yourself. Yeah. You know, and, you know, and I say that, and I want to say that out of this side of my face, because I've been in the, I served my time. It sounds like a prison sentence. I served my time in corporate America. I mean, I cut my teeth in Coca-Cola, which was probably the IBM of soft drinks for the longest time. And when I started working in the headquarters of Coca-Cola, you know, they still required you. It was, you know, 3-piece suit and tie. And then they stepped it down to, okay, you know, jacket and pants and tie. And then they really let it loose there. They just say they were cutting loose at that point. And then they said, okay, well, business, you know, then it went to business casual, still a tie. And then, you know, finally they just like, okay, cool. Right. Polo shirts are cool. Just no jeans except on Friday. So they started over time, and I was with them, 12 years, you know, just stepping it down one moment after another. And when I first started, I had the standard, you know, 1950s little boy haircut. And as once I got my role down there in downtown, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not cutting my hair. And I just let it go, because at that point I proved myself. They knew who Tracy was. It was all about, all right, can you do the job? And they're like, yep, he can do the job. He can grow his hair as long as he wants. But unfortunately, I felt like I had to, you know, conform to the norm just to get my foot in the door. Right. Yeah. And, you know, as I've gotten older, and I think as all of us get older, it's like, you know what, this is me. I'm unapologetically me, which is one of the things I resonated with you when I was first introduced to you. And I was like, okay, got to talk to this guy, because really, if someone can accept you for you, they probably are going to keep that mentality as they're looking at your work, and they're going to grade it based off that image that they want. And it's like, okay, well, cool. Then I'm not the person for you. Maybe my guy, John or Jane or Joe, they can help you out. Let me give you their name and information. Right.
Yeah. A couple of things. I mean, like, first off, when I, you know, got this interview scheduled, I was super excited. I love your brand. I listened to good handful of your podcasts, and I love just like your message and everything that you're sending. And I think, right now in society, we're in this like new age of authenticity. Like people want to cut through the crap. They want to know like who you are as a company and what you stand for.
Yeah.
And so, being true to yourself and, especially if you're unique or you have a different perspective on, life or, your work or whatever, like let those things shine, because that's really, I think what, where society's at right now. So that's really great that, you experience that in your career too. Ultimately it's about the work that you do. It's not about how you look. It's not about, whether you're wearing a tie or not, obviously in some of these, meetings and stuff, when you get with some of the corporate people, you feel like you have to, meet them at their level, but I don't, I'm always myself and, always come in with my own flair. And, if they like that and they like our work, ultimately they're either going to look past that. And I really like what you said, there, that, if they can connect with you, then that's going to be the relationship, they're not going to, and they're going to kind of view your work through that lens. So, not that you can do crappy work then or anything, but obviously, like maybe they're going to think twice before, firing you if there is an issue, or if not, they're going to think, they're going to promote you twice as hard, because they're not just promoting some project, they're promoting their, this contact, this colleague, this person that's been, real true and real with them.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Okay. I want to be mindful of your time, and we just been going at
yeah,
it.
Just running.
This has been awesome. Before I let you go though, I want to see any great tips you want to share with the entrepreneurs that are out there trying to, start, restart, kickstart their entrepreneurial journey.
Right now, there are just so many tools and resources available to you. Use them. There's a lot that you can do to get your business off the ground, whether that's using like a Webflow platform, using some no-code application platform. Really make sure that focus on selling and validating your idea before you start investing tons into it, because that's just going to make you way more successful. You can do a lot to get the ball rolling before you have to talk to an individual like myself, or before you have to go build your own team. Use consultants and people that have been in the industry that you're working in, that have gone through these things before, learn from them, and, use them and connect with them and use them for, whatever resources they'll share for you, because, everybody's been through, most likely has been through a similar journey that you've been on in some way, shape, or form. And so if you can learn from them, it's going to make your journey a lot less bumpy.
Oh, man. Preach. That's awesome. Using the resources that are out there, and definitely lean on stand on the shoulders of the giants that are, folks like yourself that are already out there breaking waves and making stuff happen. Absolutely. So before I let you go, though, I wanted to, if anyone wants to reach out to Rich Rudzinski, and I know you shared your IG earlier, if they want to learn more about you or Tragic Media, where do we want to send them to?
Go to gotragic.media. Find us on LinkedIn. We're really big on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with, anybody. If anybody is looking for like a free consultation to talk about their idea, maybe need help being pointed in the right direction, really happy to help you out. Just connect with me there, send me a message or send us a contact form on our website, and we'll be happy to get in touch and see if we can help you out or, help point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. And we'll be sure to have all those links in the show notes so people can just go ahead and click on that and get right to you, Rich. Rich, I definitely appreciate you hanging out and share. One last question I have to ask. What's your favorite style of music?
Oh, I'm punk and grindcore.
I'm not surprised. So this whole COVID, no music, live music has got to be killing you, right?
It's been rough. It's definitely canceled a couple of shows that I had, paid for, and hopefully they'll be back in, 21 or whenever we can have a safe, vaccine and everything, underway. But there's a bummer. There's a really big show in Vegas I was really looking forward to. And now, it's just been crippling that industry. So, what's it going to look like in another year or two, or whenever we can get back to it, hopefully we can sustain.
I hope they can hang on. I know, as I've been watching a lot of the names that I like to follow, they've been doing lots of things for, the behind the scenes part of the industry, right? Doing little campaigns. And I know my family and I have been, chipping in wherever, buying all kinds of merch.
I was just going to say, you got to support your artists right now.
You got to support your artists right now. You absolutely got to get out there. So, if you're buying the records, good. Go out there. Go ahead and buy the t-shirt anyway. I know it's not a live concert. It's not the same, but get out there and support those
get your
folks.
art print, tattoo artists, painters, like theater folks. Like, this has impacted arts across the board. And a lot of those people are struggling. So, where and when you can make an impact, help them out and help support them.
Absolutely. I mean, and I'll give you a great example. So the drummer from In This Moment, he's an artist too, right? He does, artworks, and he's been doing these pieces of art on drum heads and then selling them.
Oh, that's awesome.
We now have 4.
That's super cool. I love it.
So whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, get out there and support the arts, whether it's music or art or in general. So get out there and support the arts. Rich, thanks so much for hanging out. I definitely appreciate your time, brother.
Tracy, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for having me on, and really looking forward to future episodes on Dark Horse.
All right. Thanks so much, man.
All right, there you have it, my Dark Horse friends and family. Rich dropping some Be 100% Yourself bombs on us on this episode. All right, here's some thoughts I came away with. Thought number 1, growth ceilings. Now, Rich didn't call this one out specifically, but if you remember when he was telling his origin story, Rich's path started with a focus on his music career. After seeing some challenges, he shifted to working with one of the top digital marketing companies in his area, learning those tools of the trade. Then, again, when he saw that there was a growth ceiling there, he shifted one more time into freelancing and consulting. See, that caught my attention when I was listening to the interview, prepping it for you all to listen to today. Each time Rich hit a growth ceiling, he did not let that stop him. He worked around, over, under, and through it in one form or another. Are you hitting a growth ceiling or a challenge? Have you let it stop you? Yeah, be honest with yourself. Only you can answer this question. If so, I would challenge you to push yourself and your business around, over, under, or just smash right the hell through it to drive you and your business forward. Thought number 2, are you working on or in your business? Rich shared how he jumped in 100% in being a solopreneur and building his business from the ground up. Now, clearly he had the experience and the chops in the coding arena to deliver value to his clients, but he had to learn on his own all the other aspects of the business. Now, one he called out specifically was business development. Then, like so many, he was spending so much time in working in the business that it created lost opportunities and even called out some lost revenues, right? But he was one of the lucky ones that he had the wherewithal to realize that he needed to get other team members in there to manage those more granular levels of the project so that he could step back and steer the ship from the captain's chair. Look, here's the deal. I get it. It's your baby. You created this business from nothing. You birthed the idea. You nurtured it through its toddlership. You coached it into its teens, and now it's growing into a full-fledged adult of a business. But you need to step back and steer its growth, not manage the minutia. Work on your business, not in it. And as always, get someone to coach you in the areas that you need help in your development so that you're not leading with these default blinders on. Remember, you don't know what you don't know. Thought number 3, leverage tools to improve collaboration and communication. Now, Rich has a whole team of US-based associates in different time zones, working flex schedules to give them the ability to maximize their time to what is more effective and efficient for them, thus giving them maximum output for the company as a whole. Now, clearly, this comes with a level of complexity in managing collaboration and communication. You remember, Rich talked about how they have gone through a number of different tools to find out what works for best for his business and his team members overall. But on top of that, you have to factor in what you've heard me mention a number of times: accountability. Hire those willing to hold themselves accountable, and of course, you as the captain of the ship have to hold them accountable as well. This comes back to a personal development fact you've heard me drop in the daily episodes. People will treat you the way you let them. Same thing in your business. People will treat your business the way you let them. Let them run all over the expectations and the guidelines. Yeah, and they will.
empower, monitor, and hold them accountable to those very same expectations and guidelines, and they will, or they'll choose to leave. So captain your ship, empower and make sure your team has the tools they need and that they're using them to meet those expectations and guidelines, and everyone will be happy and grow as a result. Thought number 4, be 100% yourself. Ho, ho, ho. I love this one. And you've heard me say it time again and again. You know what? Probably going to hear me say it a few more times. Rich echoes that, and he even said that he finds many out there find it to be a breath of fresh air. Now, at the same time, let's be completely honest here, shall we? Being yourself, you are going to push some people away. There, I said it. Yes, people are going to judge you by what you said, how you said it, what you look like. Let's be honest, these are just the facts. So if you're putting yourself though out there as yourself, then those that do not resonate with you, they're more likely to go find someone else. However, those that do, here's the magic. They are far more likely to become a passionate part of your tribe than if you fake it and try and act like or be like someone that you are not. At some point, they will see the real you and they'll feel lied to and will probably not only leave your tribe, they're going to go out there and speak negatively about that facade that you've been putting up that turned them away in the first place, right? Possibly even turning even more people away that could have been a part of your tribe. So get out there and be 100% yourself. Attract your true tribe. And those that cannot get on board with who you really are, well, you probably don't want to be working with them anyway, do you? And thought number 5, use the tools and the coaches that are out there. Rich dropped this golden nugget of advice. There are so many tools out there to help us get up and running quickly. Use them. There are so many people out there that have gone before you to boldly go where no man has gone before, and they can save you lots of time and energy. Tap into them, learn from them, and they will help make your journey a lot less bumpy. And here's the really cool thing. When you step in and learn from them, you'll become part of we'll call it a private membership group, right? Or maybe a Facebook group where you start now interacting with other entrepreneurs that are learning from them as well, thus growing your network and your experience. All right. What experience? There's good speaking, right? I'm not even going to cut that out. What inspiring tips or thoughts resonated with you today? At least one. There's got to be one. Whatever they are, take some time today, write them down. Seriously. Sometime today, write down that one idea you're like, oh, that was kind of cool. I'm going to try that out. And go and put it into action. Then get out there, run your race, get your results, and come back and let me hear about them, right? Seriously. Email me, Tracy@darkhorseschooling.com. Share the tip or idea that you came away with, how you put it into action, and what results you gained from them. Heck, I'll probably even bring you on the show and let you share it with the audience. That way, we all win. Now, I know you want to keep getting all these valuable tips and inspirational ideas from those I'm able to bring onto the podcast. So please go on down there, hit that subscribe button. While you're there, you know it. Drop a 5-star rating, leave us some kind words in the review. And of course, do not keep all this entrepreneurial GOLD all to yourself. Share this podcast with other entrepreneurs and business owners that you know will get value from it. And with that, I'm going to leave you as I always do. Until tomorrow, think successfully and take action.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
And you know this!
Thanks for tuning in.
Check us out at www.darkhorseschooling.com.
All right.
My name is Tracy Brinkman.